Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. Now, NALIS is celebrating the 10th anniversary of their Preservation and Conservation Lab. And to do so, they have a series of workshops that have been going on how you can do your part in heritage preservation. This morning, I have the library conservator, Daniel Fraser, joining me on set. Good morning, Ms. Fraser.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
All right. So first of all, what exactly is documentary heritage?
Now, documentary heritage refers to any book, documents, correspondence, maps, even letters, even audiovisual material. You know, you're into music. Anything that has a significance or value to our families, to our communities, to our nation. And so by the deterioration or the loss of this documentary heritage, we actually feel that loss as a nation by way of loss for our history, our memories, our culture. And so it really is an important role that libraries, archives, and museums take on to preserve the national documentary heritage. All those things that have significance to us as a people and our national memory.
Okay. So tell me some of the work that you guys have been doing so far at the Preservation and Conservation Lab. Like, what is the role of the lab when it comes to heritage preservation specifically?
Now, we are rightfully a part of the Heritage Library Division.
Right.
So you get a sense that we are involved in helping NALIS acquire, promote, as well as preserve our documentary heritage. And so as an arm of the Heritage Library Division, we ensure the overall longevity of our library materials. So we do that by way of insect extermination, for instance, ensuring that our collections aren't infested.
And this is in your storage facilities?
This is in our location at the National Library Building. We would also do conservation treatment, binder repairs. We even take on a role of providing technical advice and guidance to external institutions. And of course, we are very big on doing preservation training.
Well, we're going to get into the training just now. I have a question quickly, though, about acquisition. You mentioned that you guys acquire and preserve. How do you go about the acquisition? How do you decide what is valuable to keep or not?
That's a really good question, and a lot of times it's a matter of grown family archives being donated to the Heritage Library, or perhaps being temporarily held by the Heritage Library. So you may not hand over the entire rights, but you may want the items to be stored and accessible to a wider public. And so those are some of the means that we would go about having collection items. So just to mention a couple of other things, we have Independence coming up, for instance. We would have the Sir Solomon Hotroy collection. We have items from Arthur A.N.L. Robinson. We have several items representing our presidents, our prime ministers. Those items have been donated or held at the Heritage Library and make up our national documentary heritage.
Okay, completely understand now. Now tell me about the workshops. You said that one of the things that you guys are doing is having workshops, especially to celebrate the 10th anniversary. What sort of workshops are we having?
Yeah, we have been so excited to celebrate our anniversary. Turning 10 is a big thing for us. And so we've done a series of things. We have in-person workshops happening at the National Library Building. We have free online webinars via Zoom. And also we have our family heirloom preservation clinics happening throughout the country at various public as well as community libraries. And we're really excited about the family heirloom preservation clinic. When you think of a clinic, for instance, when you go to a medical clinic, you go with the patient, the doctor gives you advice as to how to heal, how to go about alleviating those symptoms. It's the same thing that's happening at our preservation clinics. You are bringing in your family heirloom, and we are giving you advice as to how to go about caring for those certificates, the books, the correspondence, the photographs that you have of your loved ones, how to go about caring for those things and ensuring that they last as long as possible and that it can be passed on from generation to generation.
Well, I was just going to say, what qualifies as an heirloom? Like, is it anything you decide? So if your mother gave you something or your grandmother gave you something and you want to pass that on to your child, that's automatically considered an heirloom?
Yeah. It will have to be that thing that provides value to you as a family, that has some significance to that family's history and its development. And so, for instance, just as an example, my grandmother came from St. Vincent. And so it was important when my mom passed on her birth paper that's originating from St. Vincent that we felt that, yes, this had to be one of our family heirlooms, that we would keep it in as good as a condition as possible, that it shows our roots, that it shows where we came from, that it shows shows who we are. I know of a family who, for instance, has passed on recipe books.
Because they're very important.
They're big cooks,
yeah.
And so passing on those recipe cards, etc. It's been amazing to see what we've seen already at our family heirloom preservation clinics. We have folks coming in with black and white photos dating all the way back to 1910 of their grandparents or of their parents. We also have someone who brought in a passport, but this was a passport originating from Hong Kong of their relative who migrated in the early 1900s. Someone brought in her baby book. So they're all of the cute photographs and the inscriptions of the parents being excited for this first baby. And those are things that make us who we are. Those memories, those items are really of value to family. And so we're not the ones to dictate that at all. We want the families to, hey, if this is something of significance that you want to keep, it's a paper-based material, we can give you that advice. One thing we've seen quite often, and I'm sure we all have them in our families, you know those spiral bound albums with the glue lines, and you would put down the plastic on top of the photos. Unfortunately, a lot of those have deteriorated very badly.
I was going to say, like, I've seen lots of problems with keeping pictures and with keeping things with ink. So I know we're specifically talking about paper-based things and heritage preservation as far as paper-based things are concerned. But can you give us, I mean, I know this is a workshop, right? But can you just give us a little cheat, a little insight into, all right, for example, I find it difficult to store things that have any kind of writing on it. After some time, I feel like the writing is going to fade, or in the past, I've seen it happen where, you know, the ink fades over time, or if you put that plastic down and it pulls up the images or the ink or whatever the case is. How can you suggest to us a little insight into what the workshop holds, how we can do some heritage preservation for ourselves?
Preservation can be summed up in one famous saying: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so the things that we can do to prevent some of that damage can have a meaningful and significant impact on the long term of our family heirlooms. And so one thing in particular, where we store it, what we put that item into is going to be important. By putting it in a protective box, an envelope, a sleeve, a folder even, those things can help do multiple things. It gives it physical support. It protects it from the light, like you mentioned, that can cause the fading. Protects it from dust, that can cause staining. And it even also helps sort of buffer the item so that it adjust as well to those fluctuations that we might have in the environmental conditions like temperature.
Well, I was going to ask, is that a factor as well? Do we need to make sure it stays in the right temperature of AC or whatever the case is?
Exactly. Well, of course, it's not going to be feasible for us to really do AC. And so what we mention at the clinic is think of where in your location do you feel the most comfortable? Where is there not an excessive amount of heat, or perhaps a mustiness, or a moisture, humidity, etc. That is more than likely going to be a most comfortable place for your collection. So keeping those items, let's say, near to the roof, attic, or anywhere that might have moisture, the shed in the back, those are things that are not going to be ideal. You really want to have the items stored in a place that is comfortable for you. And that's a good indicator, because we as sensory beings, we can actually pick up when somewhere is too hot or when it's too humid.
So if people want to be a part of the workshop, how can they?
You can visit our website, the www.nalis.gov.tt, and on our website, click on the banner that says Pack Lab Turns 10. We're celebrating, like I said, with a number of things. And in fact, today we have one of our family heirloom preservation clinics happening at Princestown Public Library. So today at 10:30, we'll be there on hand to receive items and to tell you all about it. We'll be in Barataria, Point Fortin. We're going to Arima, Maloney, Hoover, and you can check out all the dates on our website.
All right, most definitely. Let me say thank you very much for joining us this morning. Before we go, though, how much does it cost to be a part of the workshop?
The family heirloom preservation clinics are all free.
That is what we're talking about. Nadia, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Now Morning Show. Not a problem. That is the library conservator Daniel Fraser joining us on set to chat a little bit about the workshops that they have going on currently on the preservation and conservation of documentary heritage. It runs all the way to the 28th of July, so head across to the website and you can get a lot more information there and see which one you want to fall in for. We take a quick break. We come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. Stick around.